It's time to take command with former NFL tight end Logan Paulsen and former Commanders beat reporter Craig Hoffman.
Welcome into Take 5, the 5-minute edition of Take Command, where we give you a little bit of bonus, some extra thoughts, answer your questions, whatever else we can do here on the big podcast off day. That's Logan Paulsen. I am Craig Hoffman, as usual. And Logan, this is kind of an empty the notebook segment. A couple of guys that you write down and they don't really fit in the main conversation because still unsure that they're going to be a part of the team long term. But if they keep playing like the way they are, names that need to start being mentioned more often. They might just mess around and find out and make the roster candidates for this point in camp.
Sure,
we got three guys circled. I'm gonna let you start because you got a couple of linemen that have caught your eye.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, like people, I don't think this guy's going to surprise anybody. But Mason Brooks has done a great job past couple days.
When you plant Big Phil 2 reps in a row in a one-on-one, and Juan Castillo like pulls a hamstring jumping up and down. Yeah, you tend to get that. He cracked through. People heard about that, but he's been good far beyond those 2 reps.
He's just a guy who I watched his college film. I watched him in practice. I don't understand why he didn't get drafted. I really don't. And he had some issues at Ole Miss. Nothing behavioral. He just didn't start. I'm like, the guy who started after him wasn't as good as this guy. So what's the deal? He's a good kid. He's smart. I've talked to him. Great guy, and I think he's physical. He's long. He's athletic. Check, man. So I think
he's a priority UDFA. So they did give him a little bit of extra scratch to choose Washington compared to whatever other options he had.
Yeah,
but
so
they didn't draft him.
Yeah, but he's a guy that's really just done a great job. And every day there's some little inconsistencies here and there, but I'd say he looks like a guy who's been around the game a lot more than he has. He looks like a 3rd or 4th year guy who's trying to make a team. He looks. If you saw him, you wouldn't think he's a rookie. So he's a guy that I think deserves a huge shout out. Also, Jared Jones-Smith is a guy that I don't think anybody's talking about, and he's the only reason that Mason Brooks isn't working with the 2s. So Jared Jones-Smith was a guy in the XFL, came to rookie minicamp as a tackle, didn't look great, moved to guard. Probably the last 4 or 5 days has looked really good, really, really good. Him and Cornelius Lucas working together, and I think the more consistent he gets, and you see the physicality. He's a big man. He's I want to say he's 6'7", 345. Ooh. He's got 36-inch arm, 35.5-inch arm. So big dude.
Listed 6'7", 320.
Yeah, big old fella. I think that 320 is probably a couple donuts shy, but big old dude. And he's moving people off the ball. His pass protection's good. He's moving his feet well. So if he keeps getting better, I think they're going to have a conversation there about who's going to make the roster, because I think he's going to be deserving of some type of acknowledgement, recognition, because I don't know if he plays a lot in the preseason if he's going to make it to practice squad.
Yeah, especially because he's got game film. He's got XFL game film, and where a guy like Brooks, everyone's got the college film.
Sure.
And they made their decisions, and he was a UDFA. And that's going to be really interesting to watch because, Sadiq Charles missed today. Hurt, and, do they just sometimes this happens, right? You get to the end of camp and a guy that you thought would be a starter, you're just like, this ain't going to work long term. What's the point? And you move on. And I'm not saying that I've heard that or anything, but if in 3 weeks they cut Sadiq Charles, I can't say that I'd be shocked.
Especially with how Chris Paul played today. You know
right.
what I mean?
If Paul's your future starter, okay.
And you've got these 2 young guys who look good and they're progressing, and it's yeah, it's exactly right. If someone told me tomorrow, they cut Sadiq Charles, I wouldn't be like, oh my God. It's I guess, he's just been a little inconsistent, but a little injury prone, and the league won't wait for you forever, I guess.
Yeah. Reliability is really important.
And I always need to say this when we talk about someone getting cut. I do not want anyone to get cut. No. We don't want that. He's a human being, but that's the facts of life this time of year. So.
For sure. So we'll see how that guard position progresses. There's certainly a lot of open space in terms of the backups as well. The guy that I want to shout out is Terrell Burgess. He's been with the Rams. He was with the Giants for a hot second last year, mostly practice squad. But there's been a couple of plays where you're like, oh, that's an interception for the 3s on defense. Who did it? It's 24 in red. Who's that? Oh, that's Terrell. And he's had 3 or 4 of them. I think only one in 11 on 11, but 7 on 7 is still a lot. It's not like there's turnovers in 7-on-7 all the time, and this dude's doing it. He's just making plays, and eventually, if you make enough plays, now look, if you're just taking a bunch of risks and you're getting smoked by the other refs, like that's not good. But I don't feel like that has happened. But a guy that shows that he can finish plays on a defense that is emphasizing that. And a guy who's kind of been a borderline roster guy, so he's probably got some teams experience. He's been around, good dude. Is he? We talked on the last Take 5 about the end of roster guy. Do they keep an extra DB?
Yeah.
Does he wind up being it because he can play teams? He's played corner. He's played safety. He's a classic last guy on the roster because he can do everything adjacent to his position and play special teams. And he's played well so far in camp. So he deserves a shout out, and we'll see ultimately what happens with him. And I'm not predicting that he's going to make it, but if he goes and gets an interception again in Cleveland, like, color me not shocked.
Yeah. I mean, you were, because I watch the threes, but I don't watch it super fastidiously like the way I watch the 1s and 2s, right?
Sure.
And you were like, I think he's got like 3 interceptions, and I was like, who's this guy? So he's a guy that's definitely shown up and made some plays. And when you watch him, it was funny. I was doing field pass the other day for the Command Center show, and you're like, who is 24? He just looks like, I know there's the eye test and it's kind of lame, but he just looks different. Like, he's well muscled, he's well built, he's explosive, and you're like, man, I don't know who that guy is. And obviously it's this gentleman here. So I agree. If he makes some plays in the preseason, if he continues to make plays in practice, he's the guy that you say maybe he sneaks on as one of those special teams aces. And that's one of that brings joy to my heart, because here's a guy no one's talking about, no one's excited about, and he's about to make a ton of money potentially. So that's really cool. So hopefully that works out for him. Yeah,
no, would love that. And look, like, it's funny. I was talking with Nikki today about, like, Troy Apke's made a career out of just running down and being the tackle guy. But Troy can't play DB to save his life. Like, it just hasn't happened for him. He's never developed that part of his game, but he's so good on special teams that he's made a career out of it. Yeah. But if you can get a guy who can do that stuff and also is a good DB, like, you keep that guy. And so, for Apke, who's made the roster surprisingly in some cases the past couple of years, or has been practice squad, like, could Burgess take that spot? I think it's definitely possible. All right, that is Take 5. We take your questions, we take your comments. Sometimes we take our own observations and throw them here for a little extra bonus content for you. Make sure you subscribe, Take Command wherever you're listening or watching right now, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching this clip of Take Command. First, why don't you like it? It lets other people know that it was good, and then they should watch it too. And Logan, we have a new exclusive home for full episodes.
We do. 1067 The Fans YouTube page. Go check it out and please subscribe.
Yeah, do what Logan said.
Do it.
Very, very smart.